Hello, everyone. Good morning. Nothing like kicking off the session or the individual sessions. All right. My name is Paul Miller. I work for Oracle. I've been working for Oracle about 10 years, and I have about 10 years of experience with Oracle before that. I historically have been a developer. I started building PHP applications, and I've worked against Sybase, DB2, SQL Server, MySQL, Postgres, and Oracle, developing applications. And one of the things that I really liked about the Oracle database, and I'm already talking about an Oracle database at a Hadoop World Summit, but one of the things I really liked about the Oracle database was I was able to take a lot of the processing that I did in PHP and bring it closer to the data. And so Sita from Macy's yesterday, I was sitting in his session and he was talking, and he said something that really jumped out at me that embodies kind of what we're trying to do at Oracle. One of the things that I really liked as a developer was being able to push down that processing down to the database. Sita was able to take tools to the data versus trying to take data to the tools. And that really resonated with me, and then I put it on LinkedIn. So if you guys want to reach out to me before, after, during, I put my Twitter handle up there, and I'm on LinkedIn quite a bit. So please feel free to reach out, questions. But that's a little bit of background about who I am. Real quick, this space is evolving so quickly that I'm going to be talking about some future stuff. So there's the stuff that we're doing today, and then coming down the pipe, we're doing a lot. 3 months ago, we released our Big Data Cloud service, and Forrester already has us in the middle of the pack as one of the big contenders. If you look at our on-premise Hadoop appliance, we're #1. And so we're trying to bridge this world of cloud and on-premise Hadoop and then integrate it with what people are doing with the Oracle database today. So I'm going to talk about what we're doing today and what we're doing in the future. OK. So Oracle isn't trying to replace Hortonworks. We're not trying to replace Cloudera. We're not trying to replace even MapR and some of the other distributed file system projects and platforms. What we're trying to do is really enrich them. And so there's 4 focus areas when working with Hortonworks or Cloudera or even MapR that Oracle can help organizations with. One is accelerate the adoption and deployment of your Hadoop platforms. And so one way we do that is on-premise. We have a very tried and true, I think we're in the 4th generation of a Hadoop appliance. In the cloud, we have 2 services today in which you can push-button deploy Hadoop environments either in a bare metal configuration or in a virtual configuration and mix and match. Simplify access to all data. This goes back to bringing data or bringing tools to the data, addressing the challenge of the next Pig or the next Uzi or the next Spark or the next Scala. How can we leverage tools that people have been using to access data to get at these new tools, these new platforms that are coming down the pipe? Connect and govern any data. If you listen to the keynote this morning, security is a big issue. And Oracle was born out of the CIA. Security's always been something top of mind. One of the first things that came out, both with our on-premise and our cloud infrastructure, is a secured configuration, right? It's part of what we do. So layering metadata management, lineage, we're one of the contributors, one of the major contributors to Sentry. Security is part and parcel what we do for the enterprise, and we're bringing it to the Hortonworks and Hadoop platform. And then analytics. It's really the value of this platform. Sita talked about this concept of doing discovery, hypothesis testing. One of the things that I do with my team is we help drive that process. So I have PhD data scientists on my team. I have data wranglers from IBM Research. I have Java developers and platform experts to help organizations quickly embark upon that discovery concept with our platform. And so those are the 4 areas that, harkening back to the title of the presentation, how we would enrich Hortonworks Hadoop platforms. And these are not like a mainframe type of thing where if you want to use our analytics, you have to use the other aspects. We can work with you in all 4 or individual areas. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about what these areas are and how we can help you guys get started. Okay, so let's just break this down one more level. If you think about data management in your reservoir, your HDFS, the MapReduce, the Spark processing, the warehouses that are being built, that's sort of the core center part of the last slide. Now, you've got to get data into the platform, and there's lots of different data sources coming at you. One is streaming, others are transactional. I was just talking to a peer of mine from Intuit. Tons and tons of Oracle databases with all this transactional data. We have tools that help drive this from an IoT streaming all the way down to a relational and archival perspective into your reservoir. Now that it's in your reservoir, the strategy for our architecture is how do we enable hypothesis generation? How do we enable you to go find surge pricing, for instance, that Uber found within their repository? How do we help enable you to find House of Cards the way Netflix found in their data repository? These are things that we do literally every day with customers, helping them get data into this platform and then discover things that they weren't able to really look at because they either didn't have access to all the data or all the different siloed data. So this starts to get into operationalization. Once we have figured out, okay, this is something of impact. Like I was working with an organization, they have these vessels that float out at sea. They generate 10 terabytes of data a day per vessel, and there's 10 vessels. And so what we were working on is pulling everything into the centralized repository, looking for patterns that help drive failure in their equipment, and then we had to operationalize it. So we have custom applications, so our investments in Java. We have packaged applications, so with marketing, if you think about BlueKai and Data Logics and a number of our other marketing applications, we can take this first-party data that we store in our platform, and it's integrated with these marketing execution engines. But we also have supply chain, because we're heavy in supply chain. We also have manufacturing. We have sales automation. So part of the DNA of Oracle is taking the execution side of your business, something that we're heavily a part of today, and then integrating the lab and the discovery zone into the execution part of your business. And that's what you're seeing on the right. And then tying that into results and delivering a better customer experience or delivering a better supply chain optimization strategy. These are how we're taking this data and moving it into our applications. And then one of the things that's really starting to pop up with like NiFi and Kinesis and different applications is how do we now take the data that's flowing into the repository and start to layer on these insights into that streaming data. And we have tools and processes to help do that. All right, so I talked about this concept of Oracle's running the business. When you think about your enterprise resource planning tools, or your finance operations, or your CRM, Oracle owns roughly 45% of the commercial database business. And so when we think about our database and how it plays a part in almost every major enterprise out there, we don't see that necessarily going away, but we do see 2 new platforms coming in and changing things and how organizations are approaching business process improvement. So Hadoop is where we look to disrupt. where we look to do analysis, where we look to drive innovation that then would be pumped into the relational side of the business. And here's the thing. If you're looking for the cause, you have to have the effect tied to it. And so what we see is the relational area, all the transactional data, where the sales are stored, where the tests are aggregated and persisted is in the database, but where you do the analysis is in Hadoop. So what we do is we tie it all together and drive a platform across the top using a technology called Big Data SQL. And so this allows you to tie in the NoSQL world, the Oracle world, and the Hadoop world in a federated way. And I use federated loosely because the concept is actually one that we believe in is query franchising. And what we're trying to do is allow you to tie in the discovery zone, the speed zone, and the action or the persistence relational zone under one umbrella using SQL. Now, one of the cool things about what we've done is we built it in an open and flexible way. So whether you're using HDFS, Parquet, Hive, or Mongo, NoSQL, HBase, you can tie it all together. Sorry, I thought it was one more. You can tie it all together within the Oracle database, not change your applications, and take advantage of all these different data platforms as you're developing applications. All right. Now, we talked about getting access to the data, that bottom right quadrant of making it easier for people to access all these new data sources. The other area that we invest heavily in is getting data into the reservoir. So if you think Lambda, you've got batch and streaming. Our batch strategy is Oracle Data Integrator. And one of the neat things about Oracle Data Integrator is 10, 15 years ago, we're big into the extract, load, and transform strategy. Well, this is great for Hadoop because the transform, after you load it into the Hadoop repository, leverages the power of the cluster. And so with ODI, it was a natural extension to create transform frameworks that can be leveraged with our data integration tool to then use Hive, Pig, Spark, Tez, etc. And so if you built a transform in Hive 2 years ago, because that's what people were doing, and now Spark is really taking off, the in-memory acceleration, with ODI, you can press a button and it will convert that transform from Hive into Spark. And where this is going and talking about futures and thinking Lambda is now that you've got a batch transform and you've got the streaming data coming in, you can now, in the future, with ODI, take that batch transform strategy and apply it to streaming data. So sitting on the Kafka, sitting on the Spark streaming, and allow consistency between and modularity of that transform logic into different platforms across your Hadoop deployment. We also have cleaning and validation, metadata management, and lineage. Talked to probably 100 different customers, and over half have this concern of, I'm pumping everything into this data lake, and I'm going to lose track of where it came from. I'm going to lose track of keeping up with it. So we've got tools, both on-premise and in the cloud, that help keep track of movement of data all the way from source, which a lot of times can be an Oracle database, all the way into the reservoir, and then into the tools that visualize it, like a Tableau, or an OBIEE, or a big data discovery BI tool. So on the batch side, that's ODI. On the streaming side, a lot of organizations use Golden Gate today to get data from their operational systems into an operational data store or another database. We've done something pretty interesting with Golden Gate. What we've created is an apply process that allows you to take the listening capabilities of Golden Gate that a lot of organizations are already using today that works across literally 40 or 50 different enterprise data sources today, and we can bifurcate that feed and transform it into something that can be used in the Hadoop platform. And so the 4 things that we have up there, and I was talking to an organization earlier today, I won't name names, who's actually going down this path of hundreds of Oracle databases in their environment. They're already using Golden Gate. They want to get it into their data repository. They're basically just saying, okay, instead of sending it to one place, send it to 2, dropping it onto a Kafka stream, and then using Spark or something to write it to HDFS. We actually can write with Flume directly from Golden Gate. We can write directly to Hive. We can write directly to HBase. So it's leveraging the existing investments you've made in these integration tools, and then we're extending them to enrich Hadoop platforms. All right. The top right quadrant, we talked about analytics and visualization. We have this platform for doing data discovery. And when you think about what you do with Tableau, Spotfire, and ClickView, if you do any kind of discovery work on size, it starts to break down. And then if you think about OBIEE, MicroStrategy, Cognos, those don't really give the self-service flexibility that users are driving for. Big data discovery sits in the middle and allows for that discovery platform on data of size. And so what we do is we index all this data in the Hadoop platform, and then we allow for a user-driven discovery of what's in that repository to drive insight and analysis. And so sort of 4 different stages of the big data discovery process. It starts with find, and that's just identifying the data, and then going through the data and creating data sets. We've got transform capabilities within the tool that allow you to merge and manipulate, and then figure something out, and then we've got a share mechanism, similar to notebooks. We actually integrate with Jupyter for working with data scientists. We integrate with HDFS and Hive for sharing via relational Hadoop ways, and we can actually write that data out to different environments for further analysis with a tool like Tableau or Spotfire. So here's just some of the interfaces. I'll make a plug for our booth. We have big data discovery as part of 3 of our demos, and we can walk you through how we derive insight and help drive business process improvement from a supply chain, a customer insight, and a omni-channel marketing perspective using this tool. All right. One of the things that I'm most excited about is the work we're doing in our cloud. And for those who don't know, Oracle does have a pretty pervasive cloud. We have I would say, a thriving software as a service offering today. We have a thriving data as a service offering today. We have a emerging platform and infrastructure platform or service that is quickly gaining ground in the marketplace and in capabilities. And so this is an area where I focus quite a bit, is our platform as a service and our infrastructure as a service. And so from a Hortonworks perspective, we've done a lot with blueprints, Ensemble, and orchestrating the deployment of not just Hortonworks, but all the other tools that I just described in our platform and infrastructure as a service. So one of the things that we can do as an organization is really help people deploy this platform within our cloud in a very high-touch way. And my organization is putting down a lot of the patterns, working with a lot of the organizations out there to help drive this deployment. And this is on our infrastructure as a service side. On our platform as a service side, where you kind of press a button and Hadoop spins up, we now have capabilities where you can say, not only spin up Hadoop, but Kerberize it. Not only spin up Hadoop, but implement encryption. Not only spin up Hadoop, but I want to create a non-storage-based compute environment to extend my platform for, let's just say something like Kafka. And then expand that out, and then collapse it back in our cloud. These are different things that we're doing. I would say some of our early production-based customers jumped to our Hadoop offering because of these kind of flexibility capabilities. When you think about retail and the busy period and being able to do analysis quickly during those heavy times, being able to expand that platform out and collapse it back in is appealing. Now, one interesting differentiation between like a Dataproc or an EMR is this is tenanted. So this is your cluster that can get as small as 3 nodes, and it can expand out to hundreds and hundreds of nodes, either from a compute and storage perspective or a compute-only perspective. So you're not sharing this environment with a bunch of other organizations. It's tenanted to you from a bare metal perspective. But you have all the flexibility of virtualization with some of our network and, I would say, DOM zero virtualization. So really interesting stuff that we're doing there. We're starting to create more and more services, so Spark as a service, Kafka as a service, HDFS as a service that will complement sort of this Cloudera or Hortonworks as a service offering that we're building out. All right, so one of the things that we're able to do as an organization, just because of the size, right, is we're able to really create a partnership in which we can invest in your Hadoop journey, in your cloud journey. And so one of the programs that we help support and drive is this concept of CloudAccelerate. And one of the biggest things that I've seen in driving the people, process, and technology change required to implement a Hadoop project is an organization selling the business on adopting it. And so what we can do in a very compact, focused engagement is ideate with you. We can help build prototypes in our cloud, and we can help you understand the impact that these business process improvement changes you make to your organization have against the organization. And what's nice about Oracle is we work with mobile. We work with your enterprise applications. This isn't HDFS. This isn't BI in HDFS. This is looking at your enterprise, which we have 30 years of experience running, and then helping you understand how our Hadoop and cloud platform can help you take it to the next level. So just a quick overview of kind of what it would mean to work with us in this type of engagement. It's really 5 meetings in which we work with you on the ideas. We will sketch out kind of what it looks like to actually roll this stuff out. We will build demo boards. We can build prototypes that you can use and take and help you sell these concepts to your business, and then help you understand what it takes to really launch this using our platform and technologies. So at our booth, we have 3 examples of what these prototypes and what kind of these things look like, right? One of them is around the customer experience and driving customer insight. The other one is around operational efficiency and making sure that your ad spends and your marketing initiatives are effective, focused, and you're using your money in the right way. And then the third demo we have is around predictive maintenance. All right, how can we go in and understand the data, train on that data, and then drive the scoring of an event actually happening. So the first one, the customer experience demo, takes you through the journey of the connected customer, from mobile to social to the website to brick and mortar. Oracle has a technology called the Customer ID Graph ID that allows us to correlate and collate all these different experiences using our software as a service platform, and then tie that to the different touch points that you store across the organization, and then drive a better in-store or digital intimacy with that customer. And so we'll demonstrate kind of our strategy to do that and how you'd use our tools to do that. The second one is adaptive marketing. How do I ensure that the ads I'm putting on these particular websites or in these mobile applications or on Facebook are effective? And then how do I collaborate with the data scientists of my organizations to do this? And a huge example where we've done this before is we took an organization using our cloud platform from IT and the information technology organization telling the business 30 days after launch if their product launch was successful, to 3 days after launch saying if it's going to be successful or not. And then giving them prescriptive actions to affect the success or failure of that product launch before it succeeded or failed. And we've done this actually multiple times. And our investments in technologies like BlueKai, Eloqua, allows us to quickly incorporate those data sources into our cloud platform or on-premise platform to drive this kind of innovation and agileness. So the demo that you'll actually see is the ingest of the ID matching that I referred to, the Eloqua email, the direct email, into our first-party data repository. And then we use our Discovery Lab, Big Data Discovery, to go through that first-party data repository to correlate and help identify how we can create a more effective advertising campaign. And then we share that with Jupyter to allow data scientists to actually go through and drive math-based improvements to that marketing campaign, and then visualize it to the marketing organization using our Tableau or Spotfire technology, which we call Oracle Data Visualizer. And then the third one is predictive maintenance. So this is taking IoT alert data from rig equipment, driving it into our Hadoop environment, using Big Data SQL to correlate the events with the actual outcome that's stored in a database, and then leveraging Oracle R, which is an accelerated training and scoring engine specifically designed for Spark and Hadoop, to then create algorithms that allow us to drop back onto the IoT stream that was feeding to predict and prevent failures. And we have a demonstration at the booth of that. So just to wrap it up, customer experience, operational efficiency, drive innovation. These are just 3 examples of output of working with customers through engagements like CloudAccelerate that you guys can go check out. We'd love to work with you on them if you would like to work with us through that program. Yeah, and so come see us. So like I said, I am on LinkedIn. I'm Miller Who on Twitter. Love to talk to you guys. I appreciate you guys coming out. I got 10 more minutes. Does anybody have any questions, as fearful as that is? Yes?
So you just opened your public cloud services. So from your point of view, what's the major differentiators between your cloud service and AWS?
Yeah, so AWS exists in that platform as a service and infrastructure as a service space. If you look at Adobe, they operate in that data as a service space. If you look at Salesforce.com, they operate in that software as a service space. A huge differentiation for us is the concept that we work in all 4 spaces. So data as a service, software as a service, platform as a service, and infrastructure as a service. And what we're doing is we're driving the evolution of the applications that support businesses today into using those cloud platforms to make them better. And so if you think about what it takes to coalesce an organization in a cloud platform, a lot of times it's 2 or 3 or 4 clouds. I mean, I just heard the leadership of Amazon saying, I don't foresee a world where there's just one cloud. And it's because he knows he just does a piece of it, where Oracle is investing in the entire stack. I'd say that's the main differentiation. Yeah?
So as you integrate with Hortonworks, and you just showed a flow of data coming in and so on and so forth, how do you integrate with components that's part of the Hadoop ecosystem? In the case of Hadoop, Hortonworks, you can talk about Atlas and Ranger and so on in terms of access control and things like that. How do you do that?
Well, honestly, we have to kind of pick projects, right? And there's projects in which we say we're going to leverage the innovation that comes from that project. Spark, HDFS, Hive, right? Those are projects where there's enough innovation coming from them that we really just incorporate those components in.
I get that. I mean, what you're saying is, stay with Oracle. There are some parts of Hadoop I'll expose to you, the commonly used ones. But I'm not really going to integrate more natively into the ecosystem because users come at it in different ways.
Yep.
Data comes in from Oracle. Data could be coming in from other sources as well, right? When people create massive data lakes.
Yeah.
So the question still is, as long as I use your rest of the technology, including Hadoop with open source and all of that, it looks like there is a solution that Oracle has to offer. But when I actually want to use part of Oracle to feed data, Oracle data, and so on and so forth, but I also have other things coming in, I do need to have native controls of access, classification of data, control of data from an access control perspective, and so on. But it looks like at this point in time, we really don't have anything. My question to you is it at least in your roadmap?
Have anything for what specifically?
Integrating with native tools. That's
so
part
I'll take an example of where we've done it natively. Big data discovery, its workflow engine is Oozie. Its transformation engine is Spark. Its control and access is Sentry and using Hive metadata. Its persistence store is HDFS. That is not a tool sitting outside of Hadoop running and pulling data. It's going back to that concept of taking tools to the Hadoop platform versus taking data out of the Hadoop platform to the tools like Spotfire, ClickView, and Tableau do today. It's one example. Another example, all the transformations and optimizations for our ETL tool, ODI, happen inside the cluster. And so I was going back to that concept of there are certain tools that we leave in place, and there are certain tools where we say, hey, we think we can do a better job, right? So when it comes to like a Flume, right, we may take Golden Gate. Or if it takes Storm, we've got what's called Oracle Stream Explorer. So in some cases, we leverage the power of the tool, and we basically build applications in that platform, which natively do what you're saying you'd like us to do, I assume, right? And then there's scenarios where we believe that we can drive better innovation by doing it ourselves. So it's not something where I can say, hey, it's all or nothing. We take a programmatic approach. But instead of Impala or Hive or some of the other ones out there, we have Big Data SQL. And our value prop behind doing it that way is if you have an application that runs against an Oracle database and it wants to also access Hadoop data or Mongo data or Cassandra data, you don't have to change your application. So I would argue that we do leverage the platform today. We do build native Hadoop applications. I wouldn't say that it is a all or nothing strategy, and we take probably a concentrated and focused look on when it makes sense and when it doesn't. Yeah.
All right. So you have a platform called DMP.
Yep.
Is that the DMP that you explained, or there's something
No, the
different than that?
DMP is BlueKai.
Yes.
And BlueKai integrates with our first-party data persistent storage infrastructure, i.e. our big data cloud service. So BlueKai is an exchange where organizations can kind of share, collaborate, contribute, or consume data for driving ad-based optimization.
One of the use case you showed.
Yep, absolutely, and it's in one of our demos.
Right.
But that's the exchange. Then there's this concept of third-party data, which is a technology we have called Data Logics, which integrates into the exchange as kind of a data provider. And then there's your data, right? And how you drive your data to improve that marketing optimization process in the DMP. And that's where the big data cloud service or your on-premise data lake would power and integrate with the DMP. So like at Clorox, we've done integrations with BlueKai and our Hadoop platform. And it's an integration to the DMP. I wouldn't say our big data cloud service is a DMP. One more, if there are any. All right, guys. Thank you so much. I love talking with you guys. Please come see us at the booth, and I appreciate your time today. Thank you.